Very good evening to one and all present in this virtual session on one-day workshop on public speaking. And I am really very happy to welcome you all to this online virtual session on public speaking. And today with us we have Sri Vince Stevenson from College of Public Speaking. So it's a great honor for all of us to have you, sir, on this virtual session on public speaking. So,
Well,
may I request all the participants to please join me to welcome Vince Stevenson, sir, for joining us from UK. We all welcome you, sir, to this online workshop on public speaking. And on behalf of all the participants, first of all, we would like to express our sincere thanks to you for accepting our invitation and joining us to enlighten on different issues related to public speaking. Hope that this session will be useful for everyone. So, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we begin the session, I would like to brief about Vince Stevenson, sir. Sir has more than 25 years of rich experience in the field of public speaking. He's in the at present he is working in the capacity of director of College of Public Speaking UK, which means he is a co-founder of this institute. He established this institute in 19 I think 96, if I'm not
2006.
2006, and since then sir has been continuously training people on the different uh, uh, related to the public speaking, the building with the training team with the communication issues, discovery public speaking, speak out and inspire leadership and management training, leadership and management, personal development courses, and lot many more. If I go on talking about sir, I think they will not be enough to speak about Vince, sir. So, this particular course we have conceptualized keeping the challenges in view, because many students and many learners, we find that they when they go to attend any interview or when they go to um, work at any place, so they find English as a barrier, and they find very difficult to communicate. They find very difficult to speak, or sometimes they find very difficult to just communicate in writing as well. So, sir is here, and there are many issues for that. Means I would like to mention that why those students they find or they struggle with learning English, because there are many barriers, like sometimes mother tongue influence, lack of exposure to English, ineffective teaching methods, or sometimes they have the negative attitude towards English, or sometimes they have the lack of confidence. So, but despite all these challenges, many students, many learners, and participants, they find themselves very fluent in English, and they just continue. They keep learning. They keep growing. So, to keep all these issues in mind, we thought let us have one online session, and we are really happy that sir accepted our invitation to be with us today virtually. So once again, sir, welcome you to this virtual session on public speaking. And now may I request you to please take over the session and enlighten all of us the different issues related to public speaking. Over to you, sir.
Okay, DP, thank you so much for this invitation. I've been looking forward to today's session for some time. So let me just say something about what happened last week. Last week I ran a 5-day course in London. It was a public speaking course, and one of the students, well, he's Indian, but he moved to England. He studied in India, then he moved to England about 10 years ago, and he works for a very large consultancy now. He works in cybersecurity, and I got to say, what a very talented gentleman. Now, he told me that when he first moved to England, his English wasn't very good at all, but he says that he's been working incredibly hard over the last 10 years or so. And well, that work has really paid off now. He's working for a top consultancy, he's working in a very important field. And last week, he really shone very, very well. Similarly, there was another Indian person, an Indian woman, who again, this was her first visit to England, but she's been speaking English for many, many years, and she now lives and works in Dubai. And again, what a great impact she had on the class. I think we were all really, we were just very, very grateful that she was there. She was very clever, very smart, very articulate, but really thoughtful individual. She uses her words wisely, and again, she found English very difficult as a young woman, and she's worked and she's worked and she's worked, and now she's right at the top of her field, and it's it's just wonderful that it's easy for me to say as a native English speaker how wonderful it is my language, but I just know from speaking to yourself, to your colleagues previously, and to lots and lots of Indian students over the years, just what a big impact English and your level of English can have on your career. And those are the sort of things that I'd like to talk about today. And I'm not quite sure where everybody's at with their English, of course, but what's most important, I feel, is that if you believe that you can achieve, if you believe that there are opportunities out there for you, if you work hard, I think the harder you work, the luckier you get. If you spend time working on your English, I can guarantee in the long run, you're going to start really deriving those benefits. And I wish everybody that success and the success that your Indian colleagues had on my class last week, and just the general impact and the way they presented themselves. It was absolutely beautiful, phenomenal. And again, having never met them previous to a week last Monday, I just felt very proud to have and privileged to have met them and worked with them, and to see just how well they're developing, and just knowing that they once had difficulties with the language, but I look at them now and it's just, you just think, wow, look at what people can achieve in a second or even third language sometimes. And if you want to work hard, I think English is a great place to put your efforts, because I think in the long run, those opportunities will be there for you. So DP very kindly has told me that he's going to keep his eye on the chat, and if anybody has any questions, please fire your questions into the chat box, and DP will relay them to me, and I'll be very happy to answer as many of those as I possibly can. So one of the big issues that I find speaking with less experienced English speakers, especially the Indian speakers, is the th sound. And this is because I believe, again, I'm not a native Indian speaker, but I believe that there's no th sound in Indian. So we have this thing, we call it muscle memory. And if you want to speak any language correctly, you need to get your tongue into the correct position to create the correct sound. Now, for me, speaking English, of course, that's my everyday job. That's what I do all day, every day. And hopefully I can do a good job with my English. But I speak French and I speak Spanish and I speak some Portuguese as well. And I have friends and family who, when I speak in those different languages, I'm always happy for them to correct or amend my pronunciation, simply because what happens is there are certain tongue positions that I'm either not familiar with, or I'm not getting my tongue into the correct position to create the correct sound. So what we do, there's something that we call, I think most languages have it, we call it tongue twisters. And the idea of this is to get the tongue into the correct position to create the correct sound. And this is what as we say, this is what creates muscle memory. So that if you practice it often enough, your tongue naturally finds the correct position, and the articulation or the pronunciation is going to be so much more accurate, so much more stronger, and you're going to speak that much more clearly. And that's really what everybody wants. We don't want to be straining. If you're a member of an audience and the speaker isn't really articulating those messages as clearly as possible, it's very difficult for an audience to maintain interest over a long period. So the more we can create the correct sounds through positioning the tongue correctly, the easier you're going to make it for the audience. And that means that communication will take place. It means that people have the greater opportunity of buying into what you're saying. And of course, it's going to be a more pleasurable experience for them to listen to you. And I'm sure you've listened to English speakers, and if you're not familiar with them, sometimes they may not speak as clearly, perhaps as they could do, and that's difficult for you as a member of the audience. So what I'd like to do, I've got some tongue twisters for you, and let me just find them. So here we go.
Sir, if you want, you can share the screen.
Okay, I found it. I'm good to go. Okay, so let's do some th sounds. So words, these are very regular words in English. So if you practice these words with me and you're learning English, you'll find those words we call them high frequency words. And if you know 1,000 words in any language, it's highly likely that you can communicate in that language. If you know 5,000 words, you can probably communicate very well indeed. Now, again, coming back to the point here is we want to make the pronunciation as accurate as possible, and that means that it's going to be easier for your audience to understand you. So just repeat after me: the threat. So these are th sounds. Thread. Now in English, it's always good to speak the opening syllable and generally the closing syllable. Now, if you speak French, in French generally there are certain what should we call them? Certain consonants that you don't pronounce. English is a phonetic language, and we pronounce the endings of words. So the, threat, thread, Thor, thug, there, those, these, them, that, they, think, three, thank, thick, thing, theme, thorn, throne, drive, thought, thorough, thousand, through, thunder. I'm just going to have a sip of water. So I think I've already issued DP with a list of these words, these tongue twisters, and fingers crossed DP will distribute that to you, and you can practice them on your own. But now I believe that this is being recorded, and you can watch this back and you can do these exercises with me. I believe V is a difficult one as well. Is that correct? DP?
Yes, sir.
V sound?
Yes,
V.
sir. V.
Okay, let's do some V sounds.
Okay.
Very, virtual, vowel, vowel, verse, verse, via, via, vex, vex, vantage, vantage, vest, vest, vital, vital, vote, vote, vent, vent, veil, veil, verbal, verbal, volume, volume, viper, viper, vacant, vacant, voyage, voyage, victory, victory, voice, voice, vulgar, vulgar, violin, violin, violate, violate, volition, volition, vertical, vertical. I've got some R sounds and some C sounds for you. Run, run, running, running, runny, runny, rain, rate, rate, raid, raid, ruffle, ruffle, rust, rust, cheese, cheese, chip, chip, cheer, cheer, chase, chase, charm, charm, chink, chink, cheap, cheap, cheek, cheek, chant, chant, chard, chard, choose, choose, chase, chase, chalk, chalk, choice, choice. And now I've got some S sounds, and this is the last one. She, she, shelf, shelf, shake, shake, shoal, shoal, shave, shave, shale, shale, shadow, shadow, shame, shame, shape, shape, shade, shade, shook, shook, shell, shell, shelter, shelter, shoulder, shoulder, shunt, shunt, shackle, shackle, shard, shard, shark, shark, splash, splash, sprout, sprout, splutter, splutter, Spain, Spain, sprain, sprain, spread, spread, string, string, strain, strain, and straight. Okay, now those are really useful. They're everyday words in English. We call them high frequency words. Any high frequency words: the, it, you, he, she, those words that constantly arise in everyday conversations. Now, as I mentioned previously, I try to speak Spanish and French and some Portuguese. And what I try to do, I got some very good advice once, and somebody told me to focus my pronunciation on the high frequency words, the words that you're using almost every day. And if you can get those really accurate, that makes a big difference to everybody else's understanding. So high frequency words, the more you practice them, the more they will pay off in the long run. So if you do these tongue twisters, do them regularly. Just do them once a week, something like that. Just get your tongue into the correct position. Listen to the recording, and fingers crossed, you're going to start making some really good progress. So there we are. I think something else that is very useful these days, I'm sure you're all familiar with ChatGPT, but what you can do, you can just ask ChatGPT for some high frequency words in English, and you can start creating your own sentences with them. Think about themes. So, for example, uh, going to a dance maybe, or going to church. There's certain vocabulary that relates to going to a dance or a festival, going to church, going to a football match, going to a cricket match, going to work. There's a whole list of vocabulary. Just think about office materials. So what do you have? Well, you have desks, chairs, photocopiers, pens, pencils, rulers, staplers. There's a whole bunch of vocabulary around almost each and every activity. And what you can do is you can start practicing short sentences and short context. Now, what are you going to do with the stapler? Well, there's not a million things you can do with the stapler, but you can use it to staple things together, and it introduces you to the verb to staple. I'm going to staple this document. We're going to staple these documents. You soon get used to the context, and the more you know about the context, the easier it is for you to grasp the meaning. So other things, families is a great one. So I'm going to introduce myself to you, and I'm just going to introduce you to some very basic vocabulary, which hopefully you're familiar with, and you can see for yourself. Hopefully you'll be able to follow me. So what have we got here? So my name is Vince. I'm married. I have one daughter, and she's currently at Wembley University. Her name is Natalia. My wife is called Glaucia, and she works as a nurse. I have 3 brothers, but no sisters. My brothers' names are Lawrence, Martin, and John. They're all married, and they have grown-up children and some grandchildren. So do you see what I mean about the theme? The theme is family, and, well, I've got brothers, no sisters. I can talk to you about aunties, uncles. I could talk to you about my parents, my mum, my dad. Just the theme family introduces you to a whole bunch of related words. And just by breaking things down into categories, you get to know those contexts very, very quickly. So let me just get that back up here. Sorry. So here we are. Lawrence is a school teacher. Martin works for the local government in housing, and my youngest brother John is a lawyer. So I could talk to you about my eldest brother, my elder brother, and my younger brother. My mum and dad passed away many years ago, and we all miss them a great deal. So no mum and dad anymore. My brothers, my siblings. So again, my brothers, my siblings. If I had sisters, they would be my siblings. All of these words are related. They're all, the word family has a family of words. So my brothers, they all live in close to Manchester, where we grew up, and I moved to London in 1987. So family words: father, mother, mum, dad, parents, brother, sister, siblings, auntie, uncle, baby, cousins, nephews. All of these words, it's a lovely metaphor. They're related like a family. So what else? My eldest brother Lawrence is married to Joyce. My elder brother Martin is married to Francis, and my younger brother John, he's married to Vivian. And as I say, they've all got children, and some of them have grandchildren as well. So we're spreading out as a family. So my youngest brother John married to Vivian. They have 2 children, although they're grown up now. The eldest is called Elizabeth, who was married last year to Philip, and her younger brother is called Nicholas, and neither of them have any children yet. My daughter Natalia has 7 cousins and 5 nephews currently. There we are. So, as an exercise, what you could do, you could create a family tree, and you could start with your family, start with your siblings, your brothers and your sisters, add your mother and father. If your siblings have any children, then you've got you've got lots of nephews and nieces now. So you can create a family tree, and you start using the words more or less as I just described in that little exercise there. So what's useful is by grouping words together, if they all come from a similar context, they're easy to remember because they're all related, just like this the family. So before we came on, I was looking at something about going on a trip to Dubai. Not that I am going on a trip to Dubai, but again, as an exercise, there's a whole lot of words and vocabulary around going on a journey. So, passport, taxis, railways, aircraft, exiting the airport, finding the taxi, finding your hotel. There's a whole bunch of vocabulary around an activity, and the more you look at those activities, the more things that you'll find to talk about, and you use more and more high frequency words. And what happens is, the more you use high frequency words, the easier it becomes to relate to them, because you're going to be using them in similar but different contexts. And that's when you get this marvelous crossover, and this learning suddenly takes place. I think the best thing that you can do is, for example, if you're a football fan or a cricket fan or a hockey fan, look up the vocabulary for the thing that interests you most and start using sentences. Start looking at articles online, and it's great. It's very, very easy to learn things that you're already interested in. So what happens is, you get used to the context of those high frequency words, and then when you change context, those words still have the same meaning, but now they have meaning in different contexts. So high frequency words are a really, really good way of getting to know vocabulary very well. And the more you can place a word in a particular context, the more chance you have of understanding it. Even if you don't understand it fully initially, if you can work it out what it might relate to, you're halfway there to understanding. Okay, DP, I'm talking a lot. Have we got any questions? I can't hear you, DP.
It
Can you
is
hear me?
unmuted. Yeah, I can hear you, sir. What I'm
Okay.
saying, sir, you can continue. I will just ask the participants if they have any questions. So they will be typing in the chat box, and the same question I'll display on the screen. So
Mm.
accordingly, you can answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So
Welcome.
let's look at something else. So I've got a dialogue here, and something I didn't mention earlier is that my wife is Brazilian. And so what I did, and again, this is just a very sort of simple dialogue of when you meet somebody that you don't know. And this isn't the exact conversation I had with my wife, but it'll be something similar. So let me just find that here. Just while I'm looking for that, I just want to say there's some fantastic free resources on YouTube. I've sent DP some links to those, and fingers crossed those will be distributed to you as well. And the more you find, the more I think you should study them. So there's some really great conversational pieces, there are subtitles, and again, it's just nice and slow, helps you to grasp the words and the context. And it's exactly what I'm doing with my French and Spanish and Portuguese. I love watching videos on YouTube that have got subtitles, and then I can follow along. I think the subtitles are really, really valuable and just very helpful as well. So, as you know, I do some public speaking. I've created a lot of videos over the years, and in the last few weeks, incidentally, I've started adding subtitles to them. And I'll give DP a list of those videos, or you can just search for me on YouTube, Vince Stevenson, and you'll find a whole bunch of videos of me in a nice suit talking about public speaking and the do's and don'ts of public speaking.
I'll
Okay.
share the list and all the materials, sir, with
Yeah.
participants.
Okay. Thanks, DP. All right. So here's a dialogue. Like I say, it's not the exact dialogue that I had when I met my wife, but it's a typical sort of thing when you meet somebody new, and you're just having a chat. So, hi, my name's Vince. I'm pleased to meet you. My name's Glaucia. Where are you from? I'm from Brazil. I was born in Sao Paulo state. Oh, I've been to Brazil a few times. I was in Sao Paulo for a month in 1992, and I spent 6 months in South and Central America in 1995. Great. Did you learn any Portuguese? No, we were traveling every day, and there was very few social conversations and interactions. Yes, I see the difficulty. And how's your experience of London? Very good so far. I came for a 3-week English course last year, and I loved it. I signed up for another 6 months. Congratulations, you speak very well. Thank you, you're very kind. Not at all. It must be a good course. It is, but most of the other students are Brazilian, so at the breaks and social times, we always speak in Portuguese. I feel the need to speak more English. Do you have a big family in Brazil? I have a mum, a dad, a brother, and a sister. My dad's a lawyer, and my mum's retired. Oh, I have 3 brothers. I'm from Manchester originally. They're all married with children, and they still live in the north of England. Are you a Manchester United or a Manchester City fan? I was born close to Manchester City Stadium, but I support Manchester United. Do you follow football? I'm Brazilian. We love football. We're 5 times world champions. I met Pele in 1974 in Toronto. I was playing for my school team in a football tournament. He was very friendly. Yes, he's a footballing legend, very popular all over the world. You like football, it seems. Do you have any other hobbies and interests? Yes, I love languages. I also speak Spanish and I like to travel where possible. I've just come back from Greece with my cousin. Oh, and I love cinema and Italian food. You're a very busy woman. How's your dancing? If you ask me, you can find out for yourself. So it's a very simple sort of dialogue. You know, 2 people meet at an event or a dance, and it's just useful to know that you can talk and chat and get that conversation going and practice your English skills. How is that, DP? My voice isn't very good for my wife, I don't feel.
Yeah, it has been wonderful, sir. You have given so many tricks and also the words and the method to practice. And it is up to us that how we practice every day and make our pronunciation correct. And also we can improve our day-to-day conversation skill.
Okay, I'm just going to go over some simple constructions in English. So these are very, very simple everyday sayings. So, for example, I like to go to the gym. So the construction is I like to go. I like to go to the gym. I like to go to the library. I like to go to the cinema. I like to go to football, cricket. I like to go to the restaurant. That's one very simple construction. Another one. We went to see the football last week. We went to see the football last month. We went to see the World Cup last year. So simple constructions, words that you can repeat multiple times. I enjoyed the Cricket World Cup last month. I study English. I study engineering or law or IT. I study medicine. I study management. I study leadership. I study physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. I like to go shopping. I like to go fishing. I like to go to church. I like skiing. I like driving. I like cycling. I like reading books, magazines, novels, short stories. So, again, these are really simple constructions, but these are the building blocks of your first conversations when you meet people. I love to be with my family. I love to be with my friends. I love working with my colleagues. I love sharing time with my parents, brothers, sisters, cousins. I live in New Delhi. I live in Mumbai. I live in Kerala. I live with my family. I work for a computer company. I work in a family business. I work as a civil servant. I am a civil servant. I have one brother. I have one sister. I have two brothers, sisters, three brothers, three sisters. We're a big family. We're a small family. We have three nieces and two nephews and many uncles and aunts. I visit my grandparents every weekend, every fortnight, every month, every year. It takes me 10, 20, 30, 45 minutes to get to work. I travel by train, by car, by bicycle, by alternative means to work. I'm 20, 25, 30, 45 years old. I live in a flat. I live in an apartment. I live in a house. I live near to the post office. I live near the petrol station. I live near the airport. I live near the train station. I live near the motorway, the shopping mall. I live near the sports centre. I live near the crossroads. I like to socialise often. I like to socialise occasionally. I like to socialise when I can, when it's possible. I like to socialise when there's a special event, a family event, a work event, a community event. Okay, there we are. So those are just some ideas, some suggestions for simple but constructions just to get the ball rolling. Obviously, I've not met any of your colleagues, DP, so I'm not quite sure where their English is, but these are very simple constructions. So I'm going to send you all of these documents, and if you could forward them to your colleagues, I hope they find them incredibly useful.
Sure, sir. I'll be sharing with them, and I will request all of them to practice whatever the suggestions and the ideas or tricks you have shared, and you have just uh, uh, asked. Means I will ask all of them to practice the way you have just told, means discussing the session. So I think it will be really very good practice for them to improve their pronunciation skill, communication skill, and also the material which you are going to share with them. So it is going to be very helpful for them.
Okay.
So
Well,
I request participants to please be ready with your question if you have any, so that at the end of session, sir can answer. Yes, sir.
yeah, sure. If there are any questions, I'd love to take a few questions. It'd be good to hear. I generally have an idea about what people need to do when they're learning a language, having learned, a number of languages or tried to learn a number of languages myself. But it's always good to hear specifically what concerns people have, or what difficulties they have. I think one of the hardest things is that if you don't have somebody to practice with, that's very very difficult. And I think what can be useful, again, if you work for the same company, maybe once a week meet for 45 minutes at lunchtime, have an English lesson, and again you can all practice the same language skills. Look at you can just generate dialogues on ChatGPT for just about any context you wish, and then you can practice them. Now, what I would say is it would be very useful for you to have a natural or a native English speaker with you occasionally, just to make sure that you're on the right track, because otherwise you might end up wasting a lot of time, which would be a great shame. But if there is somebody who can just give you some direction as to not necessarily the easiest ways of doing things, but certainly how to find the right words for the right context. And again, I think there's a lot of great English stuff out there, a lot of great English material out there. As I've mentioned, there's some wonderful stuff on YouTube, and I really recommend that you. Again, I would say just give it 20 minutes a day. If you're really keen on English, 20 minutes a day, I promise you, in a very short period of time, your your vocabulary is going to improve dramatically. The more you practice the pronunciation, that's going to improve as well. And what you're going to feel there is a surge of confidence. So, in answer to the question, how to overcome hesitation in public speaking, I think the best thing you can do is to practice what works. In fact, this is one of the things that I talk about in public speaking. Practice what works. There's no point in practicing what doesn't work. And the more you practice what works, again, it creates and develops what we call muscle memory. And you just get this good feeling that you're doing the right thing at the right time most of the time. And that, I think, is the best that most of us can do. If we do the right thing at the right time and most of the time, I think you're doing pretty well. So, how do you overcome hesitation? I think the thing is to dive in. It's like standing on the side of a pool. The water might be cold, but it can also be very inviting as well. Now, you can stand on the edge of the pool and freeze, or you can dive in and derive the benefit of the water and enjoy that water, as long as it's not too cold, of course. So mixing my metaphors a little there. But by practicing, that will overcome your hesitation.
Yeah, true, sir. Means without practicing, hesitation will never. You cannot overcome the situation of agitation. You need to have more practice. What I experienced that if you find difficulty in speaking, so better when you are alone. Stand in front of mirror at home, and just 10 minutes you speak on any topic. That also will make a lot of difference. And you just consider yourself as your friend, and you keep practicing, so you will find a lot of difference. What I have experienced with my friends and the colleagues, that they find difficulty, they know everything, but the problem is that when they start communicating, so they find difficulty in just throwing the content what they have inside. So that will only
Mm,
be possible if you practice every day.
yeah, I've got a big problem with my Portuguese. I've been married for 25 years, and I've always promised my wife that I'm going to learn Portuguese. And 25 years later, I can read Portuguese. I can generally follow the themes generally, um, but I'm not fluent in the spoken aspect, and that's because I don't practice. And when my daughter was very young, my daughter speaks Portuguese very fluently, and when she was about 3 or 4, my father-in-law was very unwell, and my wife and daughter they went to Brazil to be with him, and they were away for 4 months, and my daughter came back from Brazil. She was surrounded by a lot of my family in Brazil, my in-laws, and there's some wonderful people in my wife's family. And my daughter came back a different girl. She was very fluent. She absorbed the language. She absorbed the culture. And when you're surrounded by it, you just learn it. It's so easy to learn. And like I say, coming back to my point earlier, that if you don't have somebody to practice with regularly, it seems a bit of an alien um, exercise. Okay. How important is the use of phrasal words in public speaking? I think, well, there's phrasal verbs and there's phrasal words. I think what happens is the more you practice everyday conversation, these phrasal verbs and these phrasal words become second nature. So I wouldn't worry too much about phrasal words, because what happens is, so for example, when I was mentioning about my daughter a moment ago, children, they don't understand grammar. They're not interested in grammar. They don't, you tell a 3-year-old about grammar and they don't know what you're talking about. but they understand it at a certain level, and they're going to repeat it back. So I think the secret is listen, observe, respond. Listen, observe, respond. Follow what other people are doing, and most people wouldn't do it if it didn't work. If communication doesn't take place, people wouldn't do it. So I know there are certain dialects, certain British dialects, which some people find very, very difficult. There's certainly some that I find difficult. I won't mention them, but if communication doesn't take place, then it's all a waste of time. What we want to do is to communicate as accurately and as clearly to as many people as possible, and that makes communication stick. So, for example, I come from Manchester. There's a Manchester dialect. There are certain things that we do with the way we speak that if you're talking to other Mancunians, people from Manchester, everybody understands. Now, when I moved to London almost 40 years ago, suddenly I'm working in a very metropolitan area. There are people from all over the world, and when I'm talking to them, they are not understanding what I'm saying. And this tells me something. It tells me that I'm using certain language, certain idioms, which are exclusive. They actually exclude people rather than being inclusive. So, what I had to do, I had to think, slow down, be significantly more deliberate in my use of. I'm not when I call it basic English. Let I don't want to dumb this down. I think what I'm getting at here is making language accessible because, for example, my wife is Brazilian, and one day I was on the phone to my brother, and I put the phone down, and my wife said, "I did not understand a word that you said in that conversation." Now, I'm pretty sure there were some high frequency words in there, but she didn't understand the context. And she didn't understand the context because I have been a brother to all my other brothers for a long time. And there are certain things we talk about that mean something to us, but wouldn't mean anything to other people. Certain places, certain times, certain events, and things like that. And if you don't know the context, then you don't really understand it. Now, my wife said to me, and my wife is a brilliant student of English. She said that she's been working on her Cambridge 2 exams for a few years at that time, and she said, I think if you're talking to international students, you should be talking Cambridge 2 language, which is like a standard vocabulary, and that means that everybody, whichever country they're from, should and hopefully understand you. Now, this was a brilliant insight from my wife, and it's one that I thought and took very, very seriously. So, what I do now, I really think about my international audience. I don't talk in my Manchester accent, and I don't talk in the way I used to speak. So, I speak now, I try to speak as clearly, as accurately as possible. I've tried to make my accent as neutral as possible so that it's inclusive and that more people will not have difficulty understanding. So I want to thank my wife for that great piece of advice. Thank you.
Sir, one more question from
Sure.
Miss Madhuri Kumari. She is interested to know that how she can connect with the people in public to make it means interesting.
Okay, that's a great question. Now, I'm a trainer, and I do this thing called trainer training. So trainer trainer. So I actually teach other trainers to train, and I think the most important thing about training somebody to do something that's going to be valuable is to find out what what is the thing that they value the most, what drives them, what is their major difficulty. If you can answer their questions, if you can get them to see from a different lens, if you can offer them a solution. So, but you've got to ask the question really, what are the issues? What are you struggling with? What and where would you like to get to? If in an ideal world, what would success look like for you? And then, if they are able to give you that answer, and then you formulate a solution for them, they're going to really value that. So that's my answer generally. Could you just put the question up again, please, DP?
Thank you, sir. Would you
Yeah,
like to take one more question?
sure.
That is,
How
uh,
important is body language in public speaking? I'd say it's very important. Now, I'm sitting down on a sofa here, but generally, when I'm working in the classroom, I'm standing up, I'm talking to people. Again, I've got my headphones on, I'm sitting down very comfortably here, so I'm absolutely static. Generally, when you're speaking, when you're doing public speaking, generally, you're going to be on your feet. I think your body language is really, really important. Probably the most important element of that is your facial expression. If your facial expression is blank, if you're not giving anything away in your facial expression, people can feel like you lack energy or that you're not interested. So trying to make your facial expression as expressive in a natural way. I don't mean putting on, pretending to be joyous when you're not and things like that. I'm just saying that if you're enthusiastic about what you're talking about or the communication that you're delivering, the enthusiasm should flow from there as well. And I think that has a great impact on your body language, your facial expression, and generally how the message is received. So there's a lot of talk. I mean, for me, I think the most important element of communication, certainly spoken communication, especially in the form of public speaking, is your body language. What is your body language saying? Because you can say the words, but if your body language contradicts them, people will believe in your body language.
uh, is there any question from participant side? You can type in the chat box. And also, I have displayed the website of the College of Public Speaking. You can all visit this website, and you can see that the content prepared by sir and his team is
Yeah,
available. And also he has given lot many more, means lot of materials on the public speaking and also the body language, leadership
yeah.
management. So many
If
contents you will find. And also sir means has given the I means he has shared his experience that how you can practice, how you can improve day to day your public speaking skill. So I
if
hope he's, yes, sir.
Yeah, if I could mention the blog, there's over 250 articles on the blog about public speaking, about being a trainer, and again, it's all very useful information. It's information that I use day in, day out when I'm in the classroom, and I've just started. I think I've added about 15 or 16 blog posts about cognitive biases. So these are about thinking biases and why sometimes we come up with some really bad decisions. So if you know how your mind works, that's good because most of us don't. We there are certain biases that we have. They're not always obvious, and it's not always clear that we're making bad decisions. But if you go through a certain process where you're trying to work out, is this a biased decision? Is this a balanced decision? Am I doing these things for the right reasons and things like that? Am I being short-sighted? Have I spent enough time? This is a, let's say you've got to make an investment of £10,000 and you've not really gone through, the due diligence. Or let's say I'm thinking about getting somebody to do some marketing and it's going to cost me £10,000, but I've not really researched their company. Um, you know, have they got a great track record? I could just say to myself, oh, I'm really busy. I don't have time for this. I need answers. I need results now. And I could spend the £10,000, and next month, all that money's gone, and I've not got any results. So very, very important that we go through a good balanced process of decision making and not always jumping at the first opportunity. Could you suggest some books for public speaking? Well, I've written one. I've written a book about public speaking. It's called The Fear Doctor. that's self-promotion. Sorry about that. There's lots of other very good books that I've read over the years. There's oh gosh, I've got my bookcase is over there, and if I stepped across to the bookcase, all the titles would jump out at me. Let me. I will answer that one. I'll when we finished. I'm going to go to my bookcase and give DP some titles, and he can pass those on to you, if that's okay. Any other questions?
Sir, we do not have any other questions. So I think all the questions, sir, you have answered very well, and it is the duty of the participants now that they practice every day. They just the skill they improve so that they can overcome the problem of agitation or fear of public speaking, and also the material actually they're asking. So there are many course available online. You can go to the means website which I displayed on the screen, and also I have shared in the chat box. You can visit those websites, and also I'll be sharing some of the documents which is prepared by sir. So those documents also will help you to learn English and also improve your communication skill. So yes, sir. So means we do not have any question right now. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for, first of all, on behalf of all the participants and my own behalf, please accept our sincere thanks for accepting our invitation, and also find some time from your very busy schedule to join us and also enlighten all of us on the different issues, and means make us aware about that the how we can improve skill, how we can sharpen our speaking skill and pronunciation skill. So I'm really thankful to all the participants also who have joined, and they are really appreciating all of them. See, I just can show you. They
Oh,
are all
thank you. Thank you.
appreciating your session, sir. So thank you very much for this. You joining the session and giving all of us tips to enrich and make our communication skill more better and better. So
Okay.
once again, sir,
Well,
yes, sir,
thank you.
please.
If I could just have one last word, and that is to say thank you to you for inviting me. We've collaborated previously, over the years, and it's always great to hear from you. I'm really impressed with the way you do things. You have a big heart, and you're always looking to help your friends, your colleagues. And I just wish you every continuing success, and of course the continuing success of all of your colleagues. And I hope they found today's session useful. And yeah, I'm going to be in touch with those documents. So I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I wish you a very happy good evening. As per the UK timing, here
Yeah.
it is 9 p.m. So
Yes,
thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And thanks all the participants. We will meet again in some other session. So wish
all
you
right.
all a
Big
very
nice.
happy evening and good night to all.
Okay. Cheers, DP. Thank you.